Jim, welcome. It's great to talk to you. What's the big opportunity that you see to leverage zero trust in the Defense Department for security?
Yeah, I think when we take a look at some of the challenges that we're facing today, right? There seems to be a struggle of understanding the data that everybody has, right? The types of data. Is it a blueprint to an aircraft? Is it a weapon system, right? Or is it, personal identifiable information, right, of a warfighter? And so when we take a look at, some of those challenges, the opportunity there, right, is that we can sit and talk about how do we protect national security interest, right, and prevent our adversaries getting a hold of the data, right, that we really need to have kept internalized. And so through implementing a lot of the zero trust methodologies, we actually stand a really good chance of being able to stop what has become this rampant stealing of highly classified information. When we take a look at China, I used to have a slide a couple of years ago that featured, our, Ford F-150 and our fighter aircraft, and we placed it against China, right? And they had a lot of very similarities, right? And it's, well, how did they get that?
Huh.
Yeah, right. So, I think when we start really implementing these methodologies and we understand the data on top of it, we can make a real difference.
Yeah. What are the steps that you see the department taking? I mean, we all know the strategy. We've looked at the strategy. We've seen all 150 some different pieces of it. But what it will be the most effective way to put all those pieces together so that eyeing that 2027 deadline, we can see, okay, the department did these things to get to the end state that they were seeking?
Yeah, really good question. I think, again, I'm going to go back to the data, right? We need to really kind of focus on understanding that data set on what are we protecting. Once we understand what we're protecting, who's accessing that data, how are they accessing that data, what kind of a device are they accessing that data from? Is it a laptop? Is it, in my enclave of a trusted protected network? Or is it a mobile device doing flight line operations on an airfield for, fighter aircraft loadout systems, right? Once we have that, we can then better define that methodology of, okay, how do we now start protecting the core data sets that really matter, and then build out from there. And then eventually, hey, great, we can get, start eliminating some of the technical debt that we've accumulated over the years, and really start putting some movement in a lot of the infrastructure that we've got today.
Mm-hmm. Is reducing or eliminating that technical debt a really critical component of getting to a zero trust solution in 27, as the department has said, or is it just a nice residual side effect of getting to that?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to that original question, right? Looking at some of the benefits. I think by looking at a data first strategy, right? And understanding what are my technical controls that I have in place today, where are my gaps to, make sure that data is protected, we start to reduce that technical debt, and then we gain the benefit of having the additional funding that we can then place in other avenues that we may not have had before. Maybe it's additional, human eyes looking at, logs. Maybe it's more threat hunters looking for adversarial activity within the environment, or moving into that continuous monitoring stage, right? And I think, again, that's just the benefits of taking that data-centric approach first.
How does one effectively parse all of those various controls and so on to determine where that organization should start? Is it mission focused? Is it infrastructure focused, what we already have? How does one sort through all of that?
Yeah, again, I think we need to go back to looking at the data first, right? And I think putting or having the understanding of the types of data that we have, the damage to national security, that will help us prioritize where we need to start looking first, and then we can move out from there. And once we have those controls and we understand, okay, this is, highly classified nuclear data, we have certain controls that are around it, great. Once that's secure, we can then start moving outwards, right? And we can start looking at lesser class, or I would say a lower classification of data, right? Lower damaging to national security, all the way until we have, hey, here's Tuesday's lunch, menu, right? And then how do we protect that?
Yeah, Jim, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.